Nothing quite gets my guard up as when I'm in a classroom and the teacher tells us that there is no such thing as a silly question. There I was, quite happily sitting in the learning flow of things, and suddenly the prospect of comparing myself to my fellow students bursts into the picture. Sure, the teacher's specific words were no such thing, but my mind always seems to jump to the terror of asking a silly question in public. Now, we read today about the boy Jesus and what his teachers thought about him. He wasn't afraid to ask questions, and we read that they were amazed at his understanding as a result. It was the questions that he asked that demonstrated his amazing understanding. And it makes me wonder about the questions I ask. The questions I ask God in my prayers for others, the questions for myself, and the questions I ask God about himself. Often they're along the lines of, "Dear God, may I please have this or that?" Or, "Dear God, could you please do this for that person?" Or, "Dear God, what do you think about this?" Am I afraid of asking God what he thinks is a silly question? And what do my questions demonstrate about my faith? Interesting people ask interesting questions. Abstract people ask abstract questions. Practical people are interested in the practical. What type of questions do faithful people ask? I mean, in this place, more than anywhere else, we should know that there's no such thing as a silly question. We are, after all, aiming to have the faith of a little child. Something I've personally been trying to move away from is complaining about the weather. St. Paul tells us today, be thankful. But I'm finding it hard when the day starts stinking hot and just gets hotter from there, such as yesterday, and I think also today's looking that way too. Yesterday was so hot that I spent a fair amount of the day just on the back deck, in the shade, splashing around with buckets of water with young Charles. Then I realised I could only have that type of fun on a stinking hot day. And then last night's light show, the humidity had to get high enough in order to break so that God could give us that amazing light show. Sort of a bit of nighttime entertainment to cap the day off. Maybe it is a bit silly to ask God about something like the weather, but I got a pretty good answer. And you'll get a pretty good answer to your questions too.